The final point lands, the crowd absolutely loses its mind, and Alex Eala drops her racket like the weight of the world just lifted off her shoulders. She just survived a 3-set war against Elena-Gabriela Ruse here at the Cincinnati Open, and honestly, that word survived might be underselling it. But here's the thing nobody saw coming. The real drama didn't end when the match did. Ruse walks into that post-match press conference, sits down, and the entire tennis world leans in expecting excuses, maybe some finger pointing at the crowd, maybe a dig at the officials. And what she says instead? It stunned everybody in that room. She breaks her silence, and her reaction is nothing short of explosive, but not in the way you think. She admits she was genuinely happy with how she played in the first 2 sets. She reveals that one disputed umpire call flipped the entire match on its head. And then, in a moment that caught everyone off guard, she openly praises Eala's composure and performance when the pressure hit its absolute peak. This isn't your standard post-match recap. This is the story behind the story, the raw emotion, the turning points, and the kind of battle that had fans gripping their seats so hard their knuckles went white. So let's break down what actually went down on that court in Cincinnati, because there's a lot to unpack. Picture the press conference room. It's quiet. Ruse takes her seat, and you can see it on her face, that mix of total exhaustion and barely contained frustration. She just lost a heartbreaker, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4, in front of a sold-out crowd that was overwhelmingly behind Eala from the first ball. Ruse starts talking, and the room goes silent. She explains that she was actually satisfied with how she played in those first 2 sets. Her game plan was working. She felt in control early, even after falling behind. She'd just come off a massive win over Wimbledon champion Ludmila Samsonova, so her confidence was sky high. But she knew this one would be different. The crowd was loud, it was partisan, and she had to embrace that challenge head-on. Then the second set hit, and everything shifted. Eala had to call a medical timeout for her right ankle, which was heavily taped up. You could see her movement was compromised. Ruse, being the smart, experienced competitor she is, capitalized hard. She moved Eala side to side, forced her to run on that injured ankle, rattled off 3 straight games, and took the set 7-5. Used like that, Ruse was 1 set away from the win. Momentum was fully hers. But then the 3rd set turned into an absolute war. Eala, refusing to quit, had the tape removed from her ankle. She started moving more freely, got back to her aggressive game, and jumped out to a 3-1 lead. Ruse fought back to make it 3-all. And that's when it happened. They disputed call. An umpire's decision on a crucial point that simply didn't go Ruse's way. The atmosphere in the stadium, which was already electric, cranked up another level. Eala, fueled by the crowd in that controversial moment, found a gear nobody knew she had. She held serve to go up 5-3, then sealed it 6-4 after a grueling final stretch. Ruse described the whole match as a roller coaster of emotions and momentum swings. In the first set, Eala had won 5 consecutive games, her left-handed game giving Ruse all sorts of problems, the crowd roaring with every single point. Then the injury, the tape, the second set collapse. Then the 3rd set fight back. A classic tale of 2 halves, except this one had 3 acts. Now here's where Ruse's press conference got really interesting. She didn't hold back. She admitted that disputed call took some of her momentum, that it gave Eala the spark she needed when the pressure was at its highest. But she refused to make excuses. And what made her reaction truly striking was what came next. Instead of blaming the umpire, instead of pointing fingers, she openly praised her opponent. She acknowledged that Eala stayed composed, took advantage of the big moments, and played extremely well when it mattered most. This wasn't a sore loser spinning a narrative. This was a competitor recognizing she'd been beaten by the better player on the day, even if circumstances played a role. As Ruse herself put it, this was a win-win experience and an opportunity to learn from the battle. That's not something you hear every day in professional tennis, and it speaks volumes about both women. And let's talk about what this win means for Eala in the bigger picture. This victory extends her incredible run to 10 wins in her last 11 matches dating back to Wimbledon. She's advanced to the round of 16 at a WTA 1000 event. She fought through a right ankle injury to get it done. She beat a player who had just knocked out the reigning Wimbledon champion. That's not a fluke. That's not a hot streak. That's a player proving, match after match, that she has the game, the resilience, and the mentality to hang with the best in the world. Eala herself said after the match, "These 2 weeks have been incredible for me. Used so many extreme emotions, and I'm really doing my best to power through." You can hear the exhaustion in those words, but also the determination. She's competing under enormous pressure, facing established names, carrying the expectations of an entire nation on her shoulders, and still finding a way to produce her best tennis when the biggest moments arrive. And speaking of that nation, the Filipino support in Cincinnati has been impossible to ignore. Fans showing up in Philippine colors, waving flags, chanting her name, creating an atmosphere that completely changes the energy of the stadium whenever she walks on court. The sea of Philippine flags, the deafening cheers, the emotional reactions after every big point. For a player born in 2005, still building her career, that kind of support could crush you. But Eala keeps using it as fuel. She's learning how to perform when expectations are through the roof, how to survive difficult stretches, how to reset mentally when momentum disappears, and how to stay composed when a match becomes total chaos. Against Ruse, she faced physical pain, momentum swings, a fiercely competitive opponent, and a disputed call that briefly shifted the entire atmosphere. Yet when the decisive moments arrived, she found another level. That ability to reset and compete point by point is exactly what separates talented players from genuine contenders. With the US Open right around the corner, every win against established competition adds another layer of confidence. Eala isn't walking into majors hoping to make an impact anymore. Opponents have to prepare for her now. They have to study her left-handed patterns, her movement, her aggressive returning, and most importantly, her mentality under pressure. The element of surprise is fading because the WTA Tour is starting to understand exactly who Alex Eala is. And that's what makes this chapter so thrilling. She's learning how to fight through adversity, how to handle enormous crowds, how to manage physical challenges, and how to stay calm when a match is hanging by a thread. Those are lessons that can shape an entire career. For Filipino tennis fans, this is more than a successful tournament run. It's a moment of belief. Every time Eala steps on court against another established WTA player, she's showing a new generation of Filipino athletes that the biggest stages aren't out of reach. The Philippine flags in the stands aren't just decoration. They represent a growing tennis movement built around a player who keeps pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Alex Eala isn't just a player anymore. She's a movement. And she's only getting started.